The door closed behind me with a soft click. No paws skidded across the floor. No nails tapped against the hardwood. The quiet felt wrong the moment it settled, like the house had learned how to hold its breath. Theo. My voice carried down the hallway and came back unchanged. I took another step inside. My bag slid from my shoulder and landed where he usually sat, waiting. Still nothing. The air felt heavier with every second, thick enough that my chest tightened before my thoughts could catch up. The entire content of the video is a fictional work created by the writing team of the Revenge Mosaicum channel, intended to reflect common conflicts in families and society, helping viewers recognize their emotions and choose a more positive way of living. I moved toward the kitchen, already bracing myself. My mother stood at the counter, stacking plates with calm, deliberate movements, as if nothing in the world had shifted. "Where's Theo?" The words came out thin, controlled, already afraid of the answer. Her hands never paused. "We rehomed him." The tone matched the clink of ceramic. Practical. Finished. My breath caught. The room tilted just enough to make me grip the back of a chair. What? The sound barely resembled my own voice. She finally glanced over. Annoyance flickering across her face. Natalie's kids needed new phones. "You're strong. You'll adjust. Strong." The word landed harder than the truth itself. I turned away before my face gave me away. If this story feels familiar, if you've ever walked into a moment that quietly rewrote your place in your own family, stay with me. What comes next matters. Down the hall, the house felt suddenly unfamiliar, not empty claimed. Every step confirmed something I hadn't wanted to admit yet. Whatever line I thought existed had never been there at all. Behind me, the dishes continued to stack. In front of me, the silence followed. I stayed in the kitchen longer than I should have, waiting for the words to rearrange themselves into something else. Rehomed. My throat tightened around the syllables. "You mean temporary. You mean someone's watching him." My mother slid a plate into the rack and shut the dishwasher with a firm click. "Don't do this, Elena. It's already handled." Handled how? The edge in my voice surprised even me. "You don't just handle a living thing." Her shoulders stiffened. "You're acting dramatic. He was expensive. Natalie has children. Priorities change." The room felt smaller. "You sold my dog." A sigh followed, sharp and impatient. "We made a decision for the family." For which family? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her eyes finally met mine, cold and appraising. "This isn't about you." Something cracked, not loudly, quietly. The kind of break that doesn't bleed right away. I want him back. My hands trembled against the counter. "Where is he? That's not happening." Her tone flattened. "You'll upset the kids. So my place is after their phones." The sentence tasted bitter. "That's what you're saying." She turned back to the sink. "You're strong. You always land on your feet." Strong again. The label they used when they wanted me silent. I stepped away. My pulse loud in my ears. "You didn't ask." There was nothing to ask. The response followed me down the hall. "You live here. We share things." In that moment, the word share revealed itself for what it was. Not generosity. Ownership. I moved toward the garage, toward the last place hope might still exist, already feeling it thin with every step. The garage door was halfway open. My father stood over his workbench, hands busy with something small and metal, as if precision could keep him from looking up. "Dad." My voice steadied itself on the concrete floor. "Where's Theo?" He didn't turn right away. A pause stretched, practiced, and familiar. "Your mother told you." "She told me something that doesn't make sense." I stepped closer. "Tell me you didn't agree to this." He finally faced me, expression tight, careful. It was already decided. The words settled heavier than any argument. Decided by who? A breath left him slowly. By the time it came up, it was done. So you just let it happen. My hands curled into fists. You let them take him. I'm not getting in the middle of this. His gaze drifted past me. You know how your sister's situation is. My dog isn't a situation. The sentence came out sharper than intended. He's not a line item. His jaw set. Lower your voice. Something in me went quiet. I turned away without another word and walked back into the house. My room greeted me with answers no one had bothered to give. Theo's crate was gone. His leash lay folded, neat and deliberate, on the shelf. His toys were pushed into a plastic bin like leftovers from a life that no longer mattered. They hadn't panicked. They hadn't rushed. They had planned. And in that planning, they had decided exactly where I belonged. I locked my door and opened my laptop, the screen lighting up the room like a second pulse. My fingers moved before my thoughts could interfere. Rehoming pages, local groups, posts that blurred together after the first hour. Every dog looked close enough to hurt. This one's not him, I muttered, scrolling faster. Too old. Another listing loaded. Different name. Same age. My stomach tightened. The description felt rehearsed. Owner didn't have time. Sweet temperament. Needs space. I messaged the number listed before doubt could slow me down. This dog, where did he come from? The reply came minutes later. Private rehoming. Family decision. Family. The word followed me like a shadow. I enlarged the photos, studying what the seller probably thought no one noticed. The way his ears tilted when he sat. A faint white patch on his front paw. Uneven. Impossible to replicate. That's you, I whispered. Another message appeared. We renamed him. Easier for the kids. My chest tightened. When can we meet? A pause. Long enough to imagine someone else deciding his future again. Tomorrow afternoon. Cash only. I typed back without hesitation. I'll be there. The house outside my room stayed quiet, unchanged, like nothing was unraveling inside me. I shut the laptop and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. They had moved fast, assuming speed would erase attachment. They had underestimated one thing. I wasn't looking for a replacement. I was coming for what was taken. The couple arrived late. Casual, like this was a coffee meetup and not a handoff. The woman stepped out first, smiling too quickly. He's great with kids, she offered, gesturing toward the back seat. Just needs consistency. Theo's head lifted the second the door opened. His ears snapped forward. His tail hit the seat. Hard and fast, like his body had decided before his brain could catch up. There you are. My voice broke on the last word. The man leaned against the car. We renamed him. Thought it'd help him settle. It didn't. I replied. Already crouching, Theo pressed into my legs, whining, paws scrambling for balance. The sound cut straight through me. The woman shifted. Uncomfortable now. We paid a rehoming fee. I'm not here to argue. I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. $1,350? Cash. Her eyebrows lifted. That's more than we asked. Then take it and open the door. The man hesitated, eyes flicking between the money and the dog. You sure you have time for him? I met his gaze. Steady. I always did. The envelope disappeared into his jacket. The door unlocked. Theo launched himself at me, full weight, full trust, as if nothing had ever changed. I held him there, forehead against his, breathing him in until my hands stopped shaking. On the drive home, he stayed pressed against my side, one paw hooked into my sleeve like an anchor. When I opened the front door, the kitchen went silent. My mother stood frozen, spatula slipping from her hand and clattering to the floor. You bought him back. Her voice barely carried. I stepped past her. Theo close against my leg. I took back what you sold. Upstairs. I locked my door. Theo curled beside me, warm and solid. Down the hall, voices rose, sharp and accusing. For the first time since this began, I didn't answer. The shouting started after midnight. Doors slammed. Footsteps stopped outside my room, retreated, returned again. You humiliated us. My mother's voice cut through the door. You made this a spectacle. Theo pressed closer to my side, body tense. I rested a hand on his back, steady and quiet. My father's voice followed, lower but sharper. You crossed a line. This isn't how family works. No one asked how he was taken. No one admitted what they'd done. Morning came without warning. I reached for my phone. No service. The screen blinked once, then settled into silence. I tried the Wi-Fi. Nothing connected. A text notification pushed through on data alone. You forced our hand. I stared at the words until they blurred. Downstairs. The house moved on. Cabinets opened. Coffee brewed. The normalcy felt deliberate, like a lesson. At the table, my mother didn't look up. You'll get access back when you calm down. So this is punishment. The words came out flat. She finally met my eyes. Consequences. For buying back my own dog. For embarrassing us. Her jaw tightened. You don't get to disrupt everything and walk away untouched. Something inside me cooled. Not anger. Understanding. I turned and went back upstairs. Theo followed, nails soft against the floor. I closed the door, locked it, and sat on the bed. They thought isolation would bring me back in line. They forgot who kept this house running when no one else wanted to. I opened the banking app out of habit, not suspicion. The kind of reflex that comes from being the one who always checked, always covered, always made sure things didn't fall apart. The balance loaded slowly, then the history, gas charges in towns I hadn't visited, online orders I didn't recognize, subscriptions I never approved. Small amounts at first, spaced just far enough apart to feel harmless. Over time, they stacked. Patterns emerged, dates lined up with groceries, school events, weekends I'd been told not to worry about anything. 16 months. That was how long it took to drain $23,400 without asking. My chest tightened, then settled. Memory filled in the gaps. It's for the house. My mother had brushed off once, when I noticed a charge late at night. Don't nickel and dime family, my father had warned another time. Irritation sharp beneath the calm. The account details sat at the top of the screen, unmissable now. Primary holder Elena Price. Authorized users, 2 names that were not mine. The realization didn't feel explosive. It felt clean. I transferred the remaining balance into a new account, one created minutes earlier with a password no one could guess. Then I removed access. Both names disappeared with a single confirmation screen. The bank representative's voice came through my earbuds, steady and professional. You're within your rights. These transactions qualify as unauthorized. Hearing that unlocked something I hadn't known was locked. Upstairs. The house creaked. A door opened. Footsteps paused outside my room. What are you doing? My father called through the door. I didn't answer. Another notification appeared. Access revoked. Alerts set. Disputes filed. Theo rested his head on my knee, warm and solid. I ran my fingers through his fur, grounding myself in what was real. They thought cutting me off would teach me a lesson. They never considered what would happen when I stopped paying for the privilege. I packed one bag, clothes, toiletries, the leash. Nothing else felt necessary. Theo watched from the doorway, head tilted, tracking every movement. When I reached for the bag, he stood without hesitation. Downstairs, the television murmured. No one looked up as I passed. Running away won't fix this. My father's voice followed me from the living room. I didn't slow. Neither did staying. The front door closed behind us with a final, ordinary sound. No shouting, no chase. Just space opening where pressure used to live. Megan answered on the second ring. A pause, then relief. "You can come. Couch or guest room. Your choice." "Thank you," slipped out before I could stop it. At her place, Theo circled once and settled by my feet like he understood this was temporary but safe. Megan set a glass of water on the table and didn't ask questions. My phone buzzed nonstop. "You're being extreme. This is tearing the family apart. Come home and we'll talk." I silenced the notifications and scrolled to a name I hadn't called in years. Aunt Claire picked up without small talk. "You sound done." "I am." A beat. Then certainty. "Tell me everything." I leaned back, Theo's weight warm against my leg, and let the truth finally take up the space it deserved. Aunt Claire called 2 days later. Her voice carried calm weight. "They're embarrassed. That's new. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them." By the end of the week, I signed a lease on a small studio 40 minutes away. $1,050 a month. Dogs allowed. Theo explored the corners first, then chose the spot beside my leg like it had always been his. A message buzzed through from my father. A request for $200, labeled house expenses. I stared at it, then blocked the number. The quiet that followed felt earned. An envelope arrived the next morning. My mother's handwriting, careful and slanted. Inside, a familiar rhythm concern without accountability. Forgiveness offered for a crime I hadn't committed. I folded the letter and placed it in a folder with bank statements and dispute confirmations. Not to relive it, to remember. Some lessons don't arrive as advice. They arrive as patterns you finally refuse to repeat. Love doesn't ask you to disappear. Family doesn't require silence as payment. Strength isn't how much you can carry for others, it's knowing when to put the weight down. Theo slept with his head on my foot, steady and warm. I sat on the floor and let the room be quiet. If this story feels close to your own, stay, listen, share it with someone who might need the permission I didn't know I had. I didn't leave to win. I left to live.